Hi guys, I'm going to take 5 minutes today to introduce you to the new self-paced self-study unit. Alright, now this unit's going to be kind of nice because you're going to be able to go at your own pace a little bit. Some of you will be able to get into some more interesting things, while others of you will just have a little bit more time. You'll be able to kind of go, like I say, at your own pace and work through things at your own pace, your own level. All right, so the first thing I want to bring up is that this is now inequalities. We just finished systems. We're going into inequalities now. The nice thing and the reason why this will work well with this unit is that inequalities, most of it you've done. You know how to deal with one variable equations, two variable equations, linears, quadratics, systems, all that you've done. We're just going to add in one small difference, is that instead of a equal sign, you're actually going to have greater than or less than or something where the two sides don't actually have to be equal to each other. They just have some type of relationship. All right, so otherwise this is going to be pretty straightforward from things that you've already done. And I hope that you see that as we go through the lessons. Now, in inequalities, if you look, the very first piece is the self-study program. So if I click on that, it'll bring me to this page. Now the first thing that I see is the actual self-study program. It goes by phase. Each phase generally has a learn and a practice and a concept check, but that's not always the case. Phase 0 is just a 5-minute video. This is just a kind of a pre-introduction type thing, which will get you in the right direction of understanding what the point of all this inequality stuff is. Now if I scroll down, you see all the different things there. If I scroll down, you'll see down here at the bottom, description. Self-study schedule is just a Word document of this up here, but I've managed to put it into the Google site now, so you don't really need that document right there unless you want like a checklist or something that you can mark off. Here I'm going to go into the description, and when I click on the description, I get this, and it's not showing up too clear, so I'm just going to go bloop, and now it's on my main page here, and so you can now see the document that I'm going to be working from, and this describes the idea of the unit. Now you'll see here I've kind of put a calendar here. You don't have to go 100% by this calendar, but there's a couple of things that you need to recognize. We're going to have a quiz on Sunday, May 3rd. That's going to happen, done, no questions. Same thing, celebration on Monday, May 11th. That's going to happen. Done. Okay, other than that, the phases you can kind of go through at your own pace. Now, you'll notice that there go up to 8 phases, and we have 6 days prior to the celebration. So you can't just do one phase a day. This guide will give you an idea of approximately what you should be accomplishing. All right? Now, some of these things you may take a little bit longer on, sometimes a little bit less, but you see the idea that it's kind of spread out. Sometimes in class you'll be doing lessons, sometimes you'll be doing practice, sometimes concept checks. At homework, sometimes you'll do lessons, sometimes you're practicing, sometimes you're doing a review, which is just more practice. So when you do lessons and when you do practice, doesn't really matter when or where. All right? You got to get it out of your head that the homework is a worksheet. The homework is not necessarily a worksheet. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to bring back my first page here. We're going to close this down. And what's going to happen is you're going to sit down and you're going to do phase 0. You're going to watch this 5-minute video and take a couple of notes on it. All right, this one you need to do. It's not the one I'm doing right now. All right, so do that, 5 minutes, take a couple of notes. Then you'll go on to phase 1. You're going to learn about one variable inequalities. Now when you do that, you're going to choose one of these 3 things. 1, 2, 3. You choose one of those. Usually there's a video, there's some pages from your textbook. You all have a textbook at home, I hope, and I've got some here in the classroom. And then you've got usually some other website or something, another resource that I found that teaches the same concepts that are presented in the videos and in the textbook. Choose one of those, do it, take some notes, and then you're ready to practice. Once you're ready to practice, you go ahead, you either do the worksheet or this one or that one. Again, you have 3 options. I'm trying to give you different options so you have some autonomy here. Now here, if it says with a partner, that means you can actually split the work. That doesn't mean that you have to do everything by yourself and you can't ever work with somebody. But whenever I say with a partner, that means you can actually split the work. This one variable inequalities pizzazz worksheet, if you click on that, the inequality solving one variable, that pizzazz worksheet has 12 questions on it. You can split that with a partner. One person do evens, one do odds, and then you can kind of work through it so that it's not just busy work. I want you to get practice. I don't want it to be something where you just have to keep going and going and going and going and go. You get the idea. Anyway, so when you finish with phase 1, you'll be ready to take a concept check. If you're in class, you'll be able to do that in class. Either the beginning of class or into class will have concept check time, and you can take whatever concept check that you feel that you are prepared for. All right? If you're at home and you finish this practice, then it's okay. Just go on to the next phase. You don't have to do the concept check, but as soon as you're in class, please plan on taking that concept check, because really you want to pass that concept check before you can go on. A passing score is above 7, so greater than 70%, not 70%. 70% is not good enough. It's got to be greater than 70%. All right, so if you get better than 70%, you go on. If you don't, if you get 70 or lower, then you have to go back and you have to relearn and practice in another manner, just to make sure that we got the ideas. We want to make sure that we've got mastery before we continue on. Now you'll notice that there's a couple of optional things here. As I go, I'll add in a few other optional things. That's the only one showing up right now. But by optional, I mean optional. That's totally optional. You don't need to do it. This is just by choice. Now the idea of this is that it'll take you a little bit further. It'll do something a little bit different, a little bit harder, a little bit more interesting maybe, I don't know, but it should challenge you, it should stretch you a little bit. And you don't need to do this, but for those that are interested in a challenge, for those that are thinking about Algebra 2 Trig next year, for those that are thinking about going into the IB program, these are good things that will help you prepare for those, that'll help bring your brain to a point where you're starting to stretch yourself a little bit and see some different ideas and some different things. So keep that in mind as you go through, and you may want to do those optional things. All right? I think that's pretty much it. Just make sure that you're doing this. The one other thing I should mention is again, homework. I mentioned this before, but homework you will do every day. Okay? Homework is you spend 40 minutes on this. All right, if in my first day I finish phase 0 and phase 1 and phase 2 the lesson, then my homework the next night will be phase 2 practice and possibly even the phase 3 lesson. I'm going to spend 40 minutes. Whatever I get through in that 40 minutes is awesome. If you're multitasking with Facebook or something like that at the same time, then maybe you should spend more than 40 minutes. But I want to see you get a good amount of work done at home so that when you come in the next day, you're prepared and you're able to continue. All right, if you only finish phase 0 and phase 1 lesson and practice, then your homework will probably be phase 2 lesson and maybe start on phase 2 practice. It doesn't mean you have to finish it. It means that you spend 40 minutes working on math. If you want to do 20 minutes one night and 20 minutes the next night, that's fine. If you do that, I may suggest 25 just because you need a couple of minutes to get your brain back into the swing of things. But, you know, the general concept is what's important. Now, on the second page of this description is a daily log, and I would like for you to keep track of this. So when you're in class, Thursday was our first day of this. So I want you to write there, what did I do today? Well, I completed phase 0, I did phase 1, the lesson and the practice, and took the phase 1 concept check. What's the big idea? Well, that I want you to just reflect a little bit and synthesize. Try to put together the ideas that you've learned. Well, I learned that inequalities are exactly like equations, except I now have to include everything to one side of the point, or I need to shade, or the dot can be open or closed depending on if I want to include the point. I was reminded that a solid dot means include this value as a solution. Whatever it is, things that kind of tie into what we've done before or a brand new big idea that you learned, those are the things that you want to include here in the big idea, and we're going to do that every day to just kind of reflect and synthesize a little bit. All right? I think that's pretty much it. You can download this paper for yourself so that you can kind of look through it. And that's pretty much it. So please get started on this. You need to make sure that you're spending your 40 minutes a night. If you miss class, then you need to make up the hour and a half that you missed from class. That's the way it is. You miss an hour and a half of class, you need to make up that hour and a half through work, because that's what we're doing in class, is we're working. All right, so that's all I got for you, and I'll see you in class.